Hi guys, welcome back to Mind and Seek. Thanks again for joining me. What we'll do today is we'll go into the subject of emptying our cups. And we'll start off with a little ancient Eastern story of a Zen master and their student. So what happens in this story is there is a very knowledgeable and educated man who seeks the help of a Zen master. He goes into this scenario knowing it all. He sits down with the Zen master and he immediately talks about stories and gives the Zen master tons of information about life facts and so forth and so forth. And he notices that the Zen master starts pouring them tea. However, he notices when the master starts pouring his cup of tea, he doesn't stop. So the tea keeps overflowing, and then the student looks baffled and says, "Stop, what are you doing?" And that's when the Zen master says, "This is like your mind. This is you. You have to empty your cup. You're full. You're full of knowledge. You're full of understanding. You're full of ideas. But at one point, you have to empty your cup so I could teach you more, so you can learn more, so you have that openness, so you come to realize your potential. And if you're so stuck in thinking that you have all the knowledge in the world, then where do I come in? Where does the teacher come in?" So let me kind of backtrack and start at the beginning of this concept of emptying our cups. What this is pretty much trying to explain to you is we have to go into any situation with a blank, clean slate. We can't go in having assumptions and judgments and thinking that we have full control of the situation and that we're gonna talk people's ears off, for instance, and impress people with our knowledge and wisdom and so forth. And this is something that's very hard to take control of, especially in our day and age, right? The more information we know, the more people we know, the more we could impress others, the higher up in the ladder we climb. However, this is a glitch. This is a glitch within our soul. This is a glitch within our consciousness. And it is extremely hard for us to rein this in and for us to feel like, you know what, let me drop this control. Let me go into a situation without any expectations, without going into a situation like we have life figured out and we could teach everybody the world. Okay, so this ancient saying, to empty our cup, it means to be humble. As much as you know, as much knowledge and information that you've gained, the more you're able to take a step back and take control of your ego of wanting to show this off, right? So taking control of that ego and saying, you know what, I have this capacity. And if I need to allow my capacity to gain more knowledge and wisdom, I have to be humble enough to be open and to be completely neutral, to come to a place where I go into a situation expecting the best but not being disappointed if the worst happens, right? So this is very easy for us to be caught up in this idea of, oh, we have these like high expectations, or you don't want to be disappointed when you meet certain people, when you go into a certain situation. For instance, you're going into a job interview, or you're going to meet someone's parents for the first time, or you're going into something that's very high stress environment. You know, you can't help but feel anxious. You can't help but feel like you want to put on your best face, and you can't help but want to impress those people, right? And it almost feels like second nature. You want to put as the saying goes, you want to put your best foot forward. But again, in the Eastern world, in Eastern philosophy, this is kind of like you shooting yourself in the foot. So the more you open your mouth, right, the more you say, the less idealistic it actually is, the less wise you actually are. So when you are able to come down to this place of humbleness and say, you know what, there's so much more I could learn. There's so much mystery in the world, and there's so much I could learn from other people by simply observing. And that's also another thing. When you feel like you know it all, it's very hard to observe at the same time. You can only observe when you feel like your mind is at a quiet, still stance. And that's when it's easy to observe and be in a state of awareness and to learn from your surroundings and others. But when you feel like there's a roadblock, when you feel like you have your guard up and you feel like, you know what, I can't learn from my environment, I can't learn from nature, I can't learn from others, and this is again in my personal opinion, it is a coping mechanism, right? It is a guard, it is a roadblock that you put up, a wall, because in a bigger sense, you are afraid of that vulnerability. What if you were to go into a situation where you're vulnerable and you're exposed and you don't know it all, right? So in order for you to protect yourself, you put this wall up of greatness, of I have power, I have all the knowledge in the world, right? But behind that, there is a lot of shame. Behind that, there is a lot of guilt and a fear of vulnerability and so forth. So the whole point of this is, the whole point of my message is for us to embrace vulnerability, for us to embrace bringing down our walls and to accept what the world can offer us, because that is true strength, that is true power, for us to be able to be vulnerable. When you are vulnerable, you are putting yourself in a situation where you could become stronger and braver physically, emotionally, spiritually. You could gain so much more knowledge, okay? And this happens when you are vulnerable, okay? Not when we have our guards up. So to kind of go back to what the story teaches us, the Zen teacher and the student, is there is a reason why the student sought this teacher. There is a reason he came to see him. Now, because of his pride, because of his ego, he didn't allow himself to be humble enough, to approach the Zen master with this openness, with no expectations, with no judgment, with no fear. And the Zen master, the easiest way for him to teach him this lesson was not verbally, but to show him through action that, you know what you're demonstrating to me is that you're so full of knowledge. In other words, you're so full of, so full of crap, that you have to let go of all this. Let go of your ego, let go of your pride, and let's start from the beginning. Open yourself to your environment. Be more receptive, right? And when we feel like we have full control of ourselves, we are actually, realistically, we are not receptive of our environment. That's when a lot of dangerous things could happen to us, okay? Because we are so aware of keeping our pride and so aware of our ego at that moment that what happens around us, anything could really happen. And this is not the most ideal situation. So the best way to actually take control of your scenario and the situation around you is for you to be completely neutral, for your mind to completely be empty, for your mind to be at ease, for you to be aware, for you to be internally not anxious, right? For you to be calm. So in order for you to be receptive and to be at your best, you have to be in this state of mind. So with that said, I wanted to kind of close up this talk by letting you guys know, if you have any requests for any particular topics you'd like me to talk about in the future videos, I'm more than happy to do that. You could leave that in the comments below. And what I would like you guys to do is don't forget to subscribe, share, and check back for more videos. So thank you so much for joining me, and can't wait to see you again very soon.